I couldn't sleep, and it's time change, so I woke up. I thought it was like 5 in the morning, and I'm like, okay, I made it through the bulk of it. And I looked at my cell phone, and it was 12:30 p.m. So I laid there for about an hour and thought, you know what, I'm going to make a cup of tea. And then I thought, you know what, I'll have a cup of tea with you since I just did the tea video. And now I'm going to pull out some the lotus leaves tea, and just make some probably weak tea, just warm water with a little bit of medicinal tea in there to help me just get cozied in. And I thought I would do that with you and have a little tea talk. And so I'm going to go get a mug, get my hot water going, and maybe we can have an early morning chat. Okay, I have my mug, and I think I showed this to you, but it's really cool. A friend brought this back from New York, and it's just this black color when you see it. And she got it just because she thought it had a great feel to it. It's a nice, sturdy mug. But when you put hot water in it, it's one of those that changes, colors. And there's a whole design in there of New York skyline. One World, she got it at the One World exhibit observatory and brought it back as a gift. So that was nice. So I'm just going to settle in, and I might move the camera a little closer. I'm in bed, and just chat with you. Just have a little simple chat. I don't have anything in mind, but maybe something will come to mind while we're sitting here. Okay. My hair is going to be a bit of a mess. I got my autofocus going. I think we'll know when I can never see well enough even with my glasses, but I think I got the autofocus figured out. So if you want to get a cup of tea and sit and have a little early morning chat with me, I may sound drunk, but it's just the time of day. I often struggle with insomnia, and for years, and I've tried so many different approaches, and I have a set of things that seem to work pretty well for me. But still, every once in a while, I have a night like this where I'm just wide awake, and I sometimes will go get Freddie. He sleeps in the other bedroom. He used to sleep under my bed at my other house, which I loved. But I love to hold my hot tea against my sternum and warm it up. But anyway, he, most of the time he'll come out, which is so sweet. I'll just say, Freddie, under the bed. Freddie, will you come say hi? And sometimes he'll just sit there for a while. Sometimes he doesn't want to, but sometimes he comes out. And tonight he let me just hold him and rock him, and I always, sing to him and cuddle him a little bit. So, and really, it's for me. It gives me that comfort. So anyway, he gave me a little cuddle, and then I decided I would do some tea. So I went and got the camera and got things set up, and hopefully can join you a little bit this morning. I thought it might be a nice opportunity to just catch up. Tell me what's going on with you, and I can tell you what's going on with me. I usually start with me. So tonight, or today, if it's today for you, why don't you start with you? And I'm going to get my little yawns out of the way so that I'm focused. And just, I always like to, if it's all right, have you share first the things that have been more difficult for you, and then the things, focus on some things that are going well. There always are. Even in the darkest of times, there's light somewhere. And that old saying that even a little sliver of light completely eliminates darkness on some level. So, we'll end with some of that. But why don't we start? If you don't mind, I'll sip some tea while I'm listening. Tell me some of the things that have been a challenge, or maybe much more than a challenge for you. Some of you are going through loss. Some of you are going through physical turmoil, challenges. Some of you are going through extreme fear based on where your country is and what you're going through. And really, all cultures everywhere have layers of fear and danger, and what's going on with you. Okay. Please keep going, just feel free. I really appreciate you sharing that with me, and I want to say that as I often do, please rewind and take time to get more out if you need to. It's so important for all of us to acknowledge what's going on. Sometimes we jump to finding the positive, and we don't let the things that are difficult for us process. I sure do that. And then I feel like there's that little one in us who got disregarded when we were young, who wasn't allowed to feel and experience and have emotion, and it's like, don't feel that. Come on, we have so much to be grateful for, and that is important, to focus on the positive. I'm all for that, but I also believe that there's a lot of healing that can come from acknowledging pain and suffering and sorrow, and giving that space to be real. And so feel free, if you need to release more, to rewind or to pause. And now, if you are willing to make that shift, maybe we can talk about some of the things, or you can share some of the things, some of the wins. That's what my kiddo says to me. Oh, you need a win, Mom. Sometimes we need a win. What are some of the wins, even very small? Start as small as you want. Something that went well or is going well. Mm-hmm. Wow. Thank you. That's wonderful. I really appreciate you being willing to open up and to share the good things. That can be very vulnerable too. And sometimes I think the people around us don't want to hear the good stuff, don't want to hear the wins. Sometimes they do. Hopefully you have people in your life who want to hear your successes and your wins or the things that make you happy. And sometimes there are little secret things that make us happy, It's, adding something to our collection or whatever that nobody else may be able to relate to, but it's special for us. So, thank you. And keep acknowledging and celebrating the wins. And you know what's best for you, but I sure find that when I'm in that conscious mind, and I'm not always, that if I first really acknowledge the parts of me that are hurting or in trauma or, suffering or just frustrated and stressed, it can be simple, that I can then shift and make the move because I've acknowledged it. And if I try too hard to push to the old Pollyanna movie, if you ever saw that, if I try too hard to push to that too soon, then I find that it just doesn't quite settle in. I can't quite celebrate it as much as I normally might because there's this other part of me that's wanting to be heard, the child that's suffering a bit. So thank you. And for me, I'm thinking of some things that I've been, not sleeping is a challenge. Teaching, I always try to change up what I'm teaching, and I'm coming to the theater module, which is my background, and I'm always excited about it, and yet it goes the worst of all the segments that I teach in humanities. I think because I taught it for so long, and for those of you that have been with me a long time, I got my MFA in acting and did it for a long time. It's really not much of my world anymore. I do a little, have had a couple of Hallmark smaller roles but they've been a gift. But I really don't get to do, the meatier stuff that's on the stage, and I don't trust my memory, my ability to memorize. And honestly, I'm beginning to think it's my ADHD that has gotten worse as I get older, and I think it's our technology that's rewiring our brain. That's my philosophy. But that struggle to stay focused and recall the lines was never difficult for me when I was younger. I mean, beyond a moment of a blank, but now that's a struggle. So I find that when I teach that section, my brain goes all over the place because it's so full of all of these things I used to teach, and trying to focus it into 3 days of information to disseminate to them. And that's not even just acting. I really am supposed to cover, all the elements, the formal elements of theater, the director, the producers, the stage managers, just all of them. So I get overwhelmed, and I think that bleeds over into my kids. So that's a very surfacey challenge that I'm going through. And a stupid thing that happened to me yesterday. But we'll transition that into the positive. So I went hiking just around, where I moved, there's a river walk, which is really nice. And so I took her, I said, do you want shade or sunshine? And we went in the shade. Well, I've done this twice. I did this with my sister too, where we ended up in the brambles and twigs are getting in the hair, and you know, I somehow missed this one portion of the trail that's much more simple. So anyway, I had just bought brand new tennis shoes that I had spent more on than I've ever spent on any shoes. But I walk all over campus and my body gets tired, so I really was like, okay, this is an investment. Day one out, I stepped into a sloshy pond area. It was a low swale, that's not the right word for it, but it was a dip, and there was water, standing water in there, and I didn't see it in my foot. I just felt it go into it. I pulled out my foot, and there was black mud, a stinky black mud all over this brand new shoe. So anyway, and the folks in this, I used to always throw my tennies in the dishwasher, or not in the dishwasher, okay, remember it's almost 2 in the morning now. I used to throw them in the washing machine, and when I did so, it almost always worked. Over time they might get a little worn from it, but so I just put them in the washer and I took them out, and I'm not going to dry them, and they're just fine. They look beautiful again. So that was the happy part of my story. You know, pretty mild issue, but still one of those things that just can get to me when I, let it. So that, and even though I get stressed over the prep, I feel so grateful to get to learn all this new stuff for humanities about art and architecture, and we just barely touch on things, and there's kids in the class who know more than I do about it. But it has been such an incredible gift to get to explore and learn something new at this point in my life. I'm 61 now, and I'm like, how cool that I get to study this stuff and learn it. And then I had a student come up to me the other day and say, I went to a wedding at this really cool chapel, and I just wanted to say that when I went inside, I appreciated it so much more because of the things we're learning in class. And I thought, how sweet that I get to participate in that. And I felt that much more when I taught acting, so it was really sweet to feel it with humanities when it's a GE class and most of them don't want to be there. And to see the lights, go on for her, and for her then to take it further and to express it to me, to let me know, because she could have just kept that to herself. So anyway, I'm clinking on this accidentally, so now I'll give a little clinking permanently. And you can see it starting to turn black to its black color as it cools down again. Anyway, but it came to me as I was just lying there. I'm like, why don't I just get up and hoist the camera around and do a video, and we'll see if it turns out the heater's coming on and off, so there's a lot of noise. All right, those were my wins for the week, and yeah, I'm glad to spend this time with you. Genuinely, I was like, it's been nice to get back to this and to connect with you as a community again, and I have such a kind community. Sure, I get a troll comment once in a while, and I think I've said if it's really hateful, because I have children who watch my station, I remove it because I don't want to teach this generation that's it's one thing to express your opinion, but this didn't work for me, or I'm not interested. Okay. And if it really starts to get into more hateful things, I will remove it, because I don't want to teach this younger generation that that's okay. So you get to express whatever you want, and most of the time I'll just leave them, even if they're negative. But honestly, for the most part, I have a very generous community. My last video, the autofocus was horrible. I really hope, I cannot see well enough now, but I really hope it's better now. But last video was so bad, I just about didn't put it up, and that's usually what I've done in the past. I'm like, okay, I can't put that out there. But I just thought, you know what, if I start getting in the habit of, and I don't want to put out shoddy work, but if if I start getting in the habit of being so particular that, I can't put that out there, then I'm going to get in the habit of not putting up videos again, because technology's always going wrong for me. So, if both the sound and the visual worked out for us tonight, it's a win. Anyway, I'm going to sign off, and I thank you for joining me for an early morning tea, and I hope that you're resting easily at night and that you're not having struggles with insomnia. We all do at some point, but I hope in general you're able to be one of those people who puts your head down on the pillow and goes to sleep, because it's sure helpful for our well-being. All right. Thank you, my friends. It was wonderful to spend time with you. We'll see you soon. Thanks for stopping by.